Okay. We okay?
Mm-hmm.
Dear Stark County prosecutors, as you already know, I'm Selena Baumgardner, and prosecuting attorney Melissa Day has been handling my rape/stalking case. I want to formally write you to express my concerns and disappointment on how my rape case and many others from your office have been handled. I've spoken with legal professionals, and they have all been dismayed by the way in which my case and that of others who have come forward with me have been adjudicated. I was brutally raped by a repeat offender. He was not previously convicted of his other crimes. Even his daughter came forward with her own disclosure of his sexual abuse towards her, in order to help me in my case. I am perplexed as to why rape cases, not only in Stark County, but in the state of Ohio, are not taken more seriously. I am infuriated that a rape case is less important in the eyes of our system than that of a misdemeanor drug offense or shoplifting charge. If he had used his gun to murder me that night instead of rape me, would I matter to you then? If I had not made it out of the house that night, if my sleeping infant had not made it out of the house that night, would we have mattered to you then? He did not kill my physical being, but he killed my emotional and mental being. He killed part of me that I will never get back. He took my trust and my entire self in his hands, and he crushed it before lighting it on fire, and the lack of attention that you have given my situation keeps adding lighter fluid. Approximately 64% of rape victims do not report because the rape is not the worst part of the crime. The worst part is being re-victimized over and over again afterwards. If I had been murdered, would it have taken you 2 years to look into the crime? If I had been murdered, would it have taken you this long to realize that I had a family and my life and my daughter's life meant something to someone? If I had been murdered, would it take you 2 years and still counting to arrest the perpetrator and bring him to justice? If I had been murdered, would you still try to win a case because I was dead, or would you just let it go because it was too hard? You are correct. You do have an ethical obligation to make sure that you are not ruining the reputation of an innocent man. You also have an ethical obligation to me, the community, and the state of Ohio to bring a rapist to trial. You have an obligation to work your hardest to not only investigate, but to prove that it happened. My life, my whole life, even the part that he murdered, means something. Looking at this case's flaws, I'm disappointed to see that the evidence that was handed over to the police was discarded and will never be able to be recovered. Looking back, I'm disappointed that it took so long to get someone's attention to such a prominent issue in our area. I see that my grand jury is not like others where if it was a murder case or a drug charge, it would have been pushed through in a timely fashion and not take weeks or months. Why were subpoenas not sent out to all the witnesses at the same time? Why did the victim advocate that was appointed to me at my portion of the grand jury tell me that a normal case on average has an answer in 5 to 7 business days, but that mine would be 4 to 6 weeks, which now has been extended to a minimum of 10 weeks? How is that considered normal in any case? If my rape case, a violent felony, was treated like it mattered, the same as the other cases you prosecute, I would not be so hurt. If the rape cases of my fellow survivors were treated like they mattered and like they had been investigated properly and tried in a court of our peers, I would not be so hurt. When we met in person in March, you both said that you were familiar with the statistics. How can you be familiar with 98% of rape cases being true and honest and not even attempt to prosecute most of those? How can you be familiar with that less than 2% of false claims is roughly the same as the number of false robbery or domestic violence or any other crimes? How can you be familiar with the fact that in that 2% it also includes the survivors who really were victimized but changed their minds on prosecuting because being re-victimized was just too much on them? I will not back down. I will not be degraded and thrown into that part of the statistic because even though each day that this goes on without progress, I die a little inside, I'm an example to other girls that you can survive and thrive no matter how many times they are re-victimized by the offender and our system. I want to know when my case and the cases of other survivors and the real problem of violent offenses will be taken seriously in our county, state, and country. When will the death of part of me and my fellow survivors matter to you and our legal system? When are the survivors in our community going to be taken seriously, and when are you going to aid in the healing process of myself and all other rape victims by providing a sense of justice and closure? I'm calling on you to change the epidemic. Help me and others turn victims into survivors, into thrivers, and stop re-victimizing the victim. Haven't we been through enough?